Welcome back. This is Lesson 11E, Reindeer and Lichens. Population growth and decay can be influenced by many factors. Considering these factors in our models helps us to develop a model that is as accurate as possible. In preview assignment 11E, you began an exploration of the fate of the reindeer on St. Matthews Island, Alaska. How is the relationship between the reindeer and the lichens similar to or different from the relationship between hares and lynxes? This is the time to go ahead and hit pause, write down some thoughts, read the objectives in the paragraph after that, and even go ahead and begin to answer question 2, and then come back and watch and we can do more together. On question number 1, you could have said you feel like they have very similar relationships. And then you could have said that they don't. They don't match any models that we've seen so far. Whatever you wrote down, realize that our objectives for this lesson are that we're going to understand how to analyze and determine an appropriate model for a real-life scenario. We're also going to be able to determine parameters to match a model's predictions against historical data. We're going to create a spreadsheet that's going to involve formulas of the model to predict future behavior. And then, I think this one's pretty cool, we're going to adjust the models based on rounding to account for rounding. On our work in the last lesson, it resulted in a cyclic model of population growth as two species interacted. In this lesson, we have another model that is driven by two species, but it appears to exhibit quite different behavior. Our task is to develop a predator-prey model that will represent the lichens and reindeer on St. Matthew Island. This model will have to be modified from the animal models that we have seen, since the population size of lichens must be measured in a different way. So question number 2. If we are trying to match the lichens and reindeer to the predator-prey model in Lesson 11, Part D, which species plays the role of prey and which species plays the role of predator? Well, the reindeer will be the role of predator because they are preying on the prey, which are the lichens. On question 3, we have 3 questions, and I wanted to go ahead and open up the spreadsheet for our in-class lesson. Remember, this is available in my math lab. And the questions on 3 say, think about the parameters of the hare-lynx problem. Identifying the parameters that are similar in the 2 situations will help us to develop a new model. Complete the following. Part A says the birth rate of the hares is similar to. Again, if you haven't already hit pause, I need you to go ahead and do that. Fill out these answers and then come back and let's work them together. But the birth rate of the hares, it's the growth of the prey, or the growth of the prey. And so when you look here at the birth rate of the hares in our current problem, what is that going to be similar to? And it's going to be the growth rate of the lichens. Part B, the mortality rate of the lynxes. The lynx mortality rate. What is similar to the lynx is dying off, and what's similar to that would be the mortality rate of reindeer. Oh, glory. And I'll just put mortality rate of reindeer. And then part C asks the kill rate of the hares. The kill rate of the hares is similar to the grazing rate of the reindeer. So I'm going to save this. And I'll be right back. So answering number 4, On St. Matthew Island, the reindeer consumed all of the lichens and virtually died out. Think about the parameters in the predator-prey model. How do the environmental conditions for the reindeer and lichens relate to or impact those parameters? Take a few minutes to put down some answers and then come back, because some possible answers might be that the kill rate could be high because reindeer are very efficient grazers. You might want to write something like the mortality rate. It would be low because the reindeer have no predators, but they may eat so much that they virtually kill themselves. The lichen birth rate is low because it does not regenerate quickly in this harsh environment. Question 5 asks us to open the spreadsheet. Notice it contains original information and we'll need to adapt it by creating our reindeer lichen model, and we already have that started. Let's assume that our model includes an initial deer population, which we will call, and I got it, there it went, population R, and we're going to call it of 30. We'll call it R, and it is 30. The amount of lichens, L, is 200. The lichen growth rate, B, will be 200ths. The reindeer mortality rate, M, is 100th, and then the grazing rate, K, is 4,000ths. There's a fertility rate of 20, and they ask us to adjust the spreadsheet to reflect new names and values. Take care that we replace the hair and lynx information according to our answers on 2 and 3. And let me go ahead and get that started. So they ask, now that I have this open, the initial deer population. So we have several things that we need to change over. So the reindeer are like the lynx, and that's part of what we got on question 2. And I didn't change it then, we'll change it here. And so this would be the reindeer. And it asks us in the question that we let the initial reindeer, and they want us to call it R, that we let that be 30. The next part is to let the amount of lichens, and that would be similar to the prey, to let them be L, and that we have about 200. It continues on question 5 that the lichen growth rate B is the same as what we had. The reindeer mortality rate is the same, that's what is there, but the grazing rate is a bit higher at 4,000ths. And the fertility rate, which they don't give us, they just call it the predation rate, and they don't give us a letter to use. So we'll leave the variable alone, and call this one the fertility rate, and adjust the spreadsheet to reflect the names. And so up here, the hair change is not going to be the hair change anymore. The hair is the lichen, and we'll need to say delta L. Oops. I'm going to have to get creative on this one. Give me just a second. I'll be right back. I got the delta L to work, so I am now on reindeer, and they asked us to let that, see if I can get it to do what it did a while ago. Nope. So we'll try it this way. To let that be R. Nope, it's not working. What did I do differently? I'll be back. So I do have an R in there now. I went outside of it and then backspaced my way in. And the hairs are the lichens. And let's make that one just a little bit wider. And lynx are the reindeer. And we'll make that one a little wider also. Back at question 5, it says take care that you place all the information in there appropriately. And I'm going to go ahead and save this information. And then it says, according to the spreadsheet, what happens to the lichen and the reindeer populations. So on part A, it asks us what happened. So let's scroll down and look at what's going on with lichens. And notice that our output is at 200 and it's dropping fairly quickly. So I'm just going to hold down the scroll button and we're going to scroll. Uh-oh. And right here around 54 and step 54 and step 55, our lichens die out. And so that's something you could write down, that around step 54 and 55, the lichens die out. And if they die out, I'm going to scroll, keep scrolling down, and now I'm looking at the reindeer column, and it's dropping fairly quickly. We're down to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Still, oh, there it is. So around step 443, steps 443 and 444, a reindeer die out. And once a species is gone, it's gone. But lichen could be hiding somewhere in crevices and could possibly come back. So I'm going to scroll, and I'm still scrolling, and right there, around step 557, 558, the lichen come back. So let's look at step B that asks us to create a line graph. Let me go back up here. And now we're going to create a line graph. It does give some directions. Follow those directions, hit pause, and then come back and we'll look at this together. So part B does ask us to create a line graph that contains the reindeer and the lichen data. And then they're asking, does it match our answers? What do you think of these graphs of your algebraic representation and their relationship to what really happened? So I'm going to highlight column D to get the steps. I'm going to hold down the control button and then hit columns G and H. I'll go up to insert, click on charts. It'll probably give me a recommended. And if not, let's go with the line. And then look what's happening. Our reindeer, or excuse me, our lichens are dropping off as the reindeer population. Well, the reindeer and the lichen population is going down. They're both very low. But then as the lichens grow, excuse me, and the reindeer start to grow. Oh, this is early on, when they died out early on. Ah, wow, that's fast. I wish I had a little bit more behind it. But right here, the reindeer are eating the lichen at a very high rate. The lichen die out, and then everybody is dead. And then it shows that the lichen come back to life, but it also shows that the reindeer come back to life. And that's not possible unless they've restocked the island with reindeer. So write down a couple of thoughts about what you see, about the possibilities of what just happened, like the deer coming back to life. And move on to question 6, where it says, what changes could you make to the parameters to keep this disaster from happening? So I'm going to save this, and that'll save it as my first one. And now I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this chart. And I'm going to go back over here, and if the grazing was different, if they slowed down on all that they were eating, like instead of 4 thousandths, what if we just went to 1 thousandth? And that changes all of our numbers. And so let's try this again. I'm going to click on D, G, and H, go to Insert, Charts. And when I go to the same chart, notice the difference. It levels off. There are still some cycles going. The lichen go down, and then the deer go down. Then as the deer are going down, the lichen are gaining strength, and then so are the deer gaining right behind them, and then the lichen go down, and the deer go down, and the lichen go up, and the deer go up. So looking at part 6 or question 6, what changes could you make? And if we did change the grazing rate to not be as high, then the lichen population would stay healthy enough to survive the down cycles and not go all the way into non-existence. This completes our lesson 11E. Check your syllabus to see if you have more lessons that are due this week. If so, get those done, and if not, I'll see you at a next lesson very soon.